The Model 3 refresh has finally been announced after months of rumors and speculation. In the past few hours, I've seen plenty of reactions online, and for the most part, it seems like people are pretty hyped up about the announcement. I can't exactly say that I'm one of them. Now, to be honest, I didn't really follow the rumors too closely, so, I'm disappointed because I thought it was going to be something a little bit more substantial. I suppose this is my own fault for having kind of high expectations about what was coming, but it seems like the new Model 3 is essentially the old Model 3. And I don't think that that is really good for Tesla in China moving forward. Now, this video is really only for the Chinese market. If you don't know about the Chinese EV market, you might not agree with me, or even if you do know about the Chinese market, you might agree with me. I don't know. Today, I'm just going to tell you a couple of reasons why I feel like this new Tesla Model 3 might be maybe a signal of the beginning of the end of Tesla's dominance in China. But I also will end the video with some good news and why it actually might not be so bad either. So I'm going to give you a couple thoughts both ways, both directions. And, comment and tell me I'm stupid or comment and you agree with me. I don't really care. This is just my hot take. First of all, if you don't know about the Model 3 refresh, for some reason, and you're watching this video, it's very strange of you. There's a car wow video. I'll put the link in the description. And it's going to be some B-roll on this video as well. So thanks to them for showing the new refresh. So a quick TLDR about the new Model 3. It's going to have slightly improved range and efficiency, improved sound insulation, a rear passenger screen, ventilated front seats, a very slight body redesign, and ambient interior lighting. So why do I think this new Model 3 might mark the beginning of the end of Tesla's domination in China? Well, first of all, that beginning of the end might have happened a while ago because in terms of total market share, Tesla's already been on a downward trajectory for a while now. It's kind of bound to happen. There's so much competition and they were so far in front, a few years back. Of course, when other manufacturers start making cars in volume and good quality competition starts making cars in volume, that you're going to see less total domination. And the thing is, China is one of the few countries with many established EV makers already, and a populace as well that has wholly embraced the electric vehicle revolution. So this means that while Tesla has remained on the top, competition has been fierce, and maintaining their position hasn't really been easy for them. In order to stay in control, especially in the last year, they led a massive price war here. And pretty much everybody else in China followed suit. Prices have been on a downward trajectory, hitting rock bottom in the last few months. It's been really tough for a lot of EV manufacturers. Some have, gone belly up. A lot of them are losing money hand over fist. This price war has really been great for Tesla because their major volume drivers, the Model 3 and the Model Y, they're both kind of long in the tooth. So they have really greatly benefited from Tesla's economies of scale, driving down the cost for Tesla to produce these cars at a profit and giving them room to play with the retail price, to lead a price war really. Other manufacturers, most of them haven't been able to hit that economies of scale or having one model or two models that are just massive volume drivers. And so what the other manufacturers have been doing is really moving very quickly instead. They've been massively improving their products and they've been releasing new products in very, very fast cycles. So here's the first big problem with the new Model 3. The interior hasn't changed much at all. A big problem that, I know a lot of people with Tesla in China, elsewhere, big complaint people usually have is that there's no heads-up display or no instrument cluster. Every competitor in China has one or the other. Even down to the cheapest cars in China, we're talking like Wuling Mini, it's $5,000 neighborhood car, has an instrument cluster digital. So you might say, Eric, you're an idiot. Who cares about the instrument cluster or a heads-up display? Because obviously most customers don't, because look at the Model Y, look at the Model 3. They sell like hotcakes, and maybe people complain, but it doesn't stop them from purchasing the car. And you know what? You might be right. But at the same time, I will give you a little bit of an example here in a minute. So just hang on after we talk about the rest of the interior. So now the other thing is about the interior, what they added was ambient lighting, right? And ambient lighting is another thing that pretty much all of the competitors here in China have. All Tesla looks like they've done is add a LED strip across the front and the door panels. And they might have more. I'm not sure. I haven't seen more. They might have added other places with ambient lighting. And again, this is a minor detail, but just these strips is basically what a lot of Chinese EVs were doing 2 or 3 years ago. Now, Chinese EVs, especially in the price class that Tesla is entering at 260,000 RMB, they have really dynamic, customizable, personal ambient lighting. Not just strips, but waterfall lighting and floor lighting and seat lighting and lighting that, thumps with the music and things like that. I don't know, of course, all the details of Tesla's new Model 3 ambient lighting, but again, it looks like just a strip that's been done before. And it's not really going to win anybody over, I don't think. They did, of course, add a second screen, but again, it's not for the driver, it's for the rear passengers. And this is more of a novelty than anything, more of a gimmick. You know, it's okay to have. Something more functional for the driver would probably be better for most people. There's always a driver in a driver's seat. There's not always people in the back seat, but it's not major. It's a very small thing in my opinion. A real quick aside here. A couple months back, I visited the 24th annual Shenzhen International Smart Mobility Auto Modification and Aftermarket Service Ecosystem Expo. And I'm just going to briefly touch on the trend that I noticed there. And that's that first, the vast majority of vendors were selling aftermarket mods specifically for Tesla. There were so many booths just for Tesla. Of course, that makes sense. Tesla has dominated sales and they have a somewhat sporty, trendy, youthful car in the Model S and the Model 3. Young people want to customize their car. So besides like body kits or whatever, those sorts of things, the main mods for Tesla were ambient lighting and instrument clusters. There were so many booths that were offering these modifications that it is very clear there's a huge market for it and that Tesla consumers want these things. They want an instrument cluster or a heads-up display, and they want ambient lighting. So of course, I got to give props for Tesla where it's due. So they added ambient lighting to the new Model 3. That's good. But again, boo to them for not adding an instrument cluster or a heads-up display. And then we talk about, you know, what they removed, which is the stocks on the steering wheel. In China, we have a lot of drivers, they're called Xinshou, like new hand. They put stickers on their car that say they're a new hand. For some reason, a lot of them are Tesla drivers. I don't know why. It's like people, their first car is a Tesla. This isn't racist. I'm not saying Chinese are bad drivers, but there are a lot of people in China that are new drivers. They don't have driving culture. They didn't grow up driving or going on road trips or things like that. And they put on Xinshou on their car, already not using their blinkers or indicators. So I guess, you know, not having stocks and making it more difficult for them to actually indicate and show what they're doing. Maybe it doesn't matter because they don't use their indicator anyway. But we have a lot of instances in China of people mistaking their brake pedal for their accelerator and getting in a wreck, making the car more complicated, especially for like a new driver. You know, you need to have the stocks, you need to have indicators that are easy to use. But again, that's just my opinion. We'll see actually how real customers feel about it. So with all that being said, I think that the biggest issue is that since this is considered like a mid-cycle refresh, it's already kind of dated, the Model 3, and the new refresh isn't really a big upgrade. In 3 or 4 or 5 years in China, if this is still what they're selling, it's going to be tough because at the rate of speed that the Chinese manufacturers are iterating on their products, coming out with new products every single year. Another big issue to me is that the car got a price increase. It's now 260,000 RMB starting. Now it used to be 229, 231,000 starting. The prices kind of fluctuated a little bit recently, but it's a 30,000 RMB price increase. Now, right now, the economy in China is pretty rough. It's not great, I'll tell you the truth. And I think that a price increase for essentially the same product is not going to be a good look for them right now. I think that it's going to sell well initially, of course, because there's always going to be people that want the newest, greatest, latest thing. There's going to be always Tesla fans that buy the new car. But in a few months, I think the sales will drop off quite significantly unless they go back to price cuts again. So if you compare this Model 3 to some of the many high quality competitors, you're going to find that the new Model 3, it just doesn't really compete in quite a few categories. It's not really a contest. Yes, Tesla still is the most efficient, I'll give it that. And that's nothing to scoff at. But my feeling is that most buyers aren't looking for the most efficient car. It might be on their list, but it's probably not their number one thing. So the other issue I have here, I think, is that the rumors say that this Model 3 refresh is going to be essentially the same as the Model Y refresh in the future. They call that one Project Juniper. Now, Model Y here in China is by far their main sales driver. And you can thank Mr. P here for putting these charts together. Mr. P makes Neo videos. You can go check out his channel. So just look at these numbers. Obviously, the Model Y and the Model 3 sell decently well. 3,000 a week for the Model 3, 10,000 to 13,000 or so a week for the Model Y. So currently the Model Y costs 264,000 RMB to start, and the long range starts at 300,000. If we see a similar product refresh and a similar product price increase, then that means the Model Y is going to start maybe at 300,000 in the future, and the Model Y long range is going to start at like 330,000-ish in the future. And if you just compare that Model Y to competitors like the Xpeng G6, which is like 206,000 or something, and direct Model Y competitor, or even like the Neo ES6 or EC6, which start at like 300,000 and offer a whole lot more luxury and everything really, it's going to be real tough for people to continue to buy Tesla Model Y. And again, if this is the product that they want to push in 3 or 4 years, exact same refresh as the Model 3, it's going to look really, really, really dated in 3 or 4 years compared to, what the future Chinese cars are doing here. The thing is, here in China, Tesla has really been able to maintain its position essentially because of its reputation. It's an early pioneer in electric vehicle space, has a really, really strong brand value. And despite what propaganda you might hear in Western countries like the United States, Chinese people, they don't hate America. They don't hate American products. In fact, they really love foreign products. They think foreign products are better than Chinese products. Generally speaking, Chinese people still look up to foreign brands. And to be honest, they're probably right in a lot of cases to feel this way. But at the same time, when it comes to the EV market, which really started as like a level playing field in recent years, in a lot of ways, the Chinese have surpassed Tesla. But even though Chinese brands have really surpassed Tesla in a lot of ways, that hasn't stopped them from lagging behind when it comes to sales. And then if you want to talk about like other advantages that Tesla has in other markets, like say the supercharger network, like in North America, in China, Tesla doesn't really have that advantage. They don't have the biggest private network here in China. That would go to NIO. But they also, it's not so important here, to be honest with you, because there's a massive, massive public infrastructure here. There's charging infrastructure everywhere you go in China. So that's not a huge advantage. The main reason people buy the car is for the car itself and not the charging infrastructure. So in my opinion, Tesla has mostly maintained its edge in sales because of price cuts and because of their reputation. But even with those two things, the gap still continues to close every single month. So I just gave you the reasons why the Model 3 refresh maybe might sort of kind of doom Tesla in the long run in China. Hyperbole, but you get the idea, right? So let's talk about why actually it still might be okay for Tesla. First thing is the rumors were always that the new Model 3 is going to be cheaper to build and it's going to have a cheaper price. So assuming that's true, Tesla is going to have huge room to cut the price in the future of this car. They're probably going to start with a higher price at 260,000 RMB, get as many sales as they can at that price, and then cut it. That's what they've been doing. When demand starts to fall, they cut the prices. So of course they can do that and stimulate sales of the new Model 3, but they can't do that forever. But they can do it probably for a couple of years, I would imagine. So they should be fine in that regard. Now, if they try to sell this car in 3 or 4 years and they don't have a new product and they're still selling it for 260,000 RMB, I think that'll be a really tough sell. Now, the other potential kind of saving grace for Tesla here is that while they call it a mid-cycle refresh, even though the original Model 3 came out like 6 years ago, mid-cycle doesn't mean it's going to be another 6 years for a new Model 3, right? Or a new product from Tesla. So, of course, maybe this refresh is only going to be on the market for 1 or 2 or 3 years, and perhaps they develop a new platform in a year or two. They announce it in 2 years, and then they have a wholly brand new full next generation Model 3 in 3 years. That would probably do great. So I'm not, of course, calling doom for Tesla here. My feeling is that this Model 3 refresh is not really for the Chinese market necessarily. It's for a market like North America that's really kind of more in its infancy. The competition isn't as fierce out there. People are going to buy Tesla regardless. Here, people are going to be a little bit more discerning about what they buy. And that's not to say that Tesla's a bad car or anything, but when the competition is this fierce and the competitors update their cars every single year, and they get better and better and better, and you see like how slowly Tesla like iterates on their product, then it's kind of worrying if you're like a Tesla investor, for example. But we'll see. It's just my initial hot take gut reaction to what they launched today. I could be totally wrong, so thank you for watching, of course, and feel free to comment and tell me why I'm wrong. I would love that. I always like it when people say, "You're a freaking idiot. What is wrong with you? You're so dumb." It always makes me feel good. So please do that, and I will see you guys later. Bye. Thanks.